Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to be going over a modification on the direct interface out on your Traynor YBA300. Now, this modification is not supported by Traynor or Yorkville Sound, so just be aware that you make this modification at your own risk. So the modification that I'm talking about is referring to the XLR direct interface in the back of the amplifier, to which it will send its signal out to a PA system or a recording interface, for example. And the issue that comes up, actually, I didn't even realize it at the time, but one of my other amplifiers that I use had this issue, and I made the same modification, and now I'm going to make the same modification to the Traynor. Now here I am on the back of the amplifier. I didn't move it, I'm just showing the camera here. This is the interface that I'm talking about. And this is the pre and post switch that I'm talking about. So pre means that it's going to take your signal going to the DI out from the input of the amplifier, and post, which is actually the default when the switch is out, will grab the signal after the EQ. But one thing I noticed was that it does not include the effects loop here. Because of that, you have to make a modification to this board inside of the amplifier in order to get the effects loop to be included in the XLR DI post EQ. Now, to make this modification, the amplifier does need to come out of the chassis, and it does need to be flipped upside down, and from there you're going to have access to the patchboard, which would then need to be removed. Now, there is R46. You can see here that I have version 3, which because my Traynor YBA head is from 2013. However, the most modern board versions are version 4 from 2016 on, but essentially it's the same board. And what we're going to do is we're going to be removing one side of R46, which goes to the XLR interface there, and that is actually feeding the post EQ signal, but it is feeding it from the tip switch of the effects return. Now, what that basically means is that the signal coming post EQ is always going to go to the DI interface there, and it will not include anything plugged into the effects return. And all we're going to do is going to lift that one side of R46, add a jumper wire, and that jumper wire will then need to be moved over one pin over, which is the tip lug for the effects return. So anytime that there's something plugged into the effects return, it is going to send that signal over to the DI interface. You can see here in this picture that I've already made the modification. You can see the empty solder lug where R46, you lifted that one side, which is pin 3. And what we're doing is moving where that resistor was going to get its signal from over to pin 2. And that's where you see the black jumper wire going over the board underneath it and attached to pin 2 instead. So you can imagine my confusion when I look at the owner's manual here on the left, and then also the schematics, service schematics for the 2013 model that I have, and it clearly shows that the feed is supposed to be on the tip lug, not the tip switch on the effects return. That I brought up to my contact over at Traynor, and he is made aware of it, but he said that I was a little confused that this is how it's always been wired up. They don't support the modification, so he gave me some alternatives if you don't want to modify the amplifier, but it's a simple jumper wire. I'm putting this out there in the world just to say, hey, if you want this functionality, it's not hard to do, but it's not something that's going to be supported by Traynor. That being the case, it's probably something that you're not even going to notice, because how often are bass players using the effects loop for anything at all? The DI interface is likely only going to be used for just putting a signal out to the PA system, and you're probably not even going to realize that it's connected post EQ or even pre EQ. It's all your effects are going to be in the front of the amp is typically what most bass players do anyway. That's why I'm saying that it probably is not even going to be noticed by many people, except maybe me. So hopefully this information is helpful. If you have any questions on the modification, let me know. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys on the next project.